What is it that I'm working on? I always forget.
Refitting a boat is not a linear process. You don't finish one project and then move seamlessly on to the next. There are always tons of projects open all at the same time, parts on order for this one, waiting for the glue to dry on that one, waiting for inspiration to strike on that other one.
Not everything makes it into the videos.
And I usually try to focus each episode on one particular part of the boat, or one project, or one idea. But that means that we often leave lots out. And in this episode, we're going to catch you up on all the little things that have been going on behind the scenes.
Talk to you soon. Bye. Good morning. Ooh, the lens is dirty.
It's extra sparkles.
Oh, extra sparkles. Cinematic effect.
No, I'll clean it.
Wow, look at that bird. There's an eagle. Wow, look at the eagle circling. It wanted to eat the black bird. Anyway, as you can tell, today we're getting distracted. So we will leave the beam project besides just for a moment, and there's other things we're working on that we want to show you.
Quick recap. The beam project Aladino referred to is still ongoing. We're basically replacing nearly half of the deck beams on our boat, a big job that requires laminating new beams and custom fitting each one into place. We've already got several videos out about that process, and we'll update you again once we're nearing completion, which, little hint, may be as soon as next week.
But yeah, I thought today we just, I walk you through all the other things that are happening. One of those distractions is this one here. We picked up more Alaska yellow cedar. This is becoming 1 or 2 floor timbers, and I will show you on the boat where they will go. This is also on the same pile because it's waiting for me to pull out the planer. So they're just on hold for the moment. Let's walk up and I'll show you what we've been up to. There are holes here holding the carriage bolts for the beams, of course, and there is holes of where the chain plates went through. One thing that I did is I drilled all the holes in the beam shelf quite a bit larger.
Over-drilling holes that go through wood and then filling them with epoxy is a good way to ensure that the wood won't rot in the future. Once the epoxy is hardened, we can re-drill the original size hole necessary for each bolt to pass through, and that way if water manages to seep down the bolt, it will just flow past the epoxy walls rather than being able to soak into the wood. To fill each hole with epoxy, one simple method is just to put duct tape on the bottom of the hole. Epoxy doesn't stick to duct tape, so you can just peel it right away after.
Another thing I did is removing the handrail here, because eventually this will get sanded, but I also took it off because the bolts that go through, they pop out on the carlin, and my idea is to prep the carlin to be able to coat it with epoxy as well. And if you look over here, this is what the carlin looks like now. It looks like 40-year-old wood that was not protected or coated, so there's all kinds of stains and dings and scratches and discoloration marks from leaks. So they will get sanded soon and coated and hopefully look like new. Alright, the next one to the head, where we have some floor timbers to replace.
So if you remember, this was from removal of the holding tank and having to cut a few of these floor timbers to actually get the holding tank out.
Yeah, so that's why I have that piece gluing down there to get the desired thickness. And the biggest job that was done off camera, mostly because it just creates such a huge mess. I was preparing the V-berth for fiberglassing, and that was done with a grinder. And you wouldn't believe where the dust went. There is still dust everywhere. even though I was vacuuming like equal amounts of time after grinding. Yeah, this was 2 to 3 days. All right, this was a big one. Going all the way forward is the last thing that I've been working on that we want to show you guys.
Okay, so this brings us to the anchor locker, and this is quite a story. You may remember about 3 episodes ago that we tore apart our V-berth in order to redesign our anchor locker. The idea was to store more chain lower in the boat and further aft. This increases sailing performance and safety as well as allows for more chain storage. But actually getting that idea to work was quite a journey. Come see what we mean.
So, as we are bringing our chain locker from here back to here, where we will have this new partition put in place, of course we want the chain to fall into the locker, come through this hole, and finally settle in here. But we are not sure if the chain will flow. I've made this little aid out of foam.
If the chain flows past this foam structure and through the little bulkhead how we want it to, then we could just add some layers of fiberglass over the foam to create a permanent shape. Installing the partition. So this is actually going to be the final partition, right? But you're just going to put some fiberglass on it as well. Okay, are we ready to begin the experiment?
Yeah, I go drop some chain in.
We had some secondhand chain given to us by a friend. It was galvanized chain, which is probably what we'll have on board when we launch Magic Carpet 2. But on Magic Carpet 1, we'd only ever had stainless steel chain, and the difference between the two was about to become apparent. How low can you reach down? Okay. The first experiment completely failed. The chain didn't get anywhere close to the V-berth locker. It piled up high in the old chain locker. We quickly realized that we'd have to adjust our thinking. This was going to be much trickier than anticipated.
Let's get stainless steel chain. It's more slippery.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm disappointed, and I think I got used to stainless steel chain that we have on Magic Carpet. That one does pile up in a different way, and it is way slipperier. But anyway, my point here is that instead of just filling everything with foam, we just need a pipe that directs it. So we need to add a pipe that goes from deck, directing it more or less down here to where the foam starts.
It doesn't even have to be a full, covered pipe. It could just be a chute, even. Or I don't know, maybe it'll fall out. A chute is like half a pipe. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, could be a chute. Let me tell you about a Swiss tradition. Custom bent pipe instrument.
Oh my god.
How we attract the oak fairies.
Oh my goodness.
Should I give it another spin? Conversations with the Yeti.
We're probably gonna piss off a lot of Swiss people. Good thing you're Swiss yourself, because no one else could get away with that.
Alright, let's get going.
Alright.
So here we go. I might have to trim the length a bit, but let's see.
Oh, that's perfect. Aladino secured the pipe with string for the test. Okay, here's the setup. We're gonna see how the chain flows through the here.
Ready?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, now it's piling up in the tube itself.
Good that this is the episode of distractions. You see what rabbit hole one goes down and then one is distracted for an entire week.
No, it's backing up again.
So either fold a piece of metal around or...
The next day, we went for a walk to clear our minds and think through this problem. And that's when we had a great idea, but we had to call an expert to get the go-ahead first.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Alright, well, thanks for your help. Talk to you soon. Bye. Hey, I just talked to Todd
What did he say?
about the chain locker.
Yeah. Todd, of course, is the owner of Cape George Marine Works and our go-to person for boat advice.
Well, he also wouldn't worry about cutting the bulkhead away completely, so then the chain would not get caught on the little frame that we have now.
Like cut it flush to the hull.
Yeah.
That bulkhead is
Yes.
fine.
Yes.
Okay, well that's actually really good because that might solve all the problems,
so.
right? Because then the chain can just sort of...
Well, hopefully, yeah. And then he also said that we could add like a 1/4 inch of very slippery plastic. Imagine the bucket material.
Mm-hmm.
If we can find a sheet of that, and we can kind of, well, have that as a layer that as the chain falls, it slides back a little easier. And he also said that probably not using any pipes would be better, because then the chain does not pile up in one spot, but it falls into the locker kind of in different places.
Yeah.
So either the pipe with a cone, or just no pipe at all. But I think if we're having it
Then it
drop...
can just fall in through the deck how it normally would.
Exactly.
And without that lip from the bulkhead, I actually sort of feel like that will solve all the problems, because then the chain can also, it can slip up under the V-berth, but it can also pile up in the bow, so we can have a lot of chain stored there, which is what we want.
Exactly, that would be ideal.
Yeah,
But
that's cool.
I mean, it's just another one to test. We don't have confirmation that it works yet, but it's just,
So we can cut that bulkhead away.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Definitely don't go removing sections of a bulkhead without first consulting with your boat's builder or designer, but after getting Todd's blessing, we felt fine about totally removing the bottom section of this particular bulkhead. We had high hopes that removing that lip would allow the hull to guide the chain back into our intended chain locker. Aladino also removed some of the balsa insulation, creating a nice chute for the chain.
This area is prepped. It was quite a mission. I am super sore and tired. But look at this nice runway. Doesn't this look more promising? So I've grinded it all up, and I've done so using a carbide triangle that goes on a multi-tool, and I really love that to use it as a rasp. So this fiberglass here is ready for when I apply more fiberglass over top of it. But now it's test time, and I've also made 2 little templates to increase the slope a little bit. So this one, my idea is to put it somewhere here. And then another one, which will be our bottom, where the this one will have holes so that the water drains. But yeah, let's put in the partition and let's test it.
This time, it worked much better. The chain flowed into the locker even with the crude template and rough fiberglass walls. When we install some nice slippery plastic, it should work like a charm. For now, this problem reached a successful end. But don't go anywhere. I told you that this is the episode of Random Little Stories, and we have one more to share with you before the end. We have a little side mission. We got a pretty serious piece of boat jewelry. This is our new bronze Bobstay fitting, custom built for us by the Cape George Yard. We removed our old stainless steel one because stainless steel at the waterline is susceptible to crevice corrosion, and for such an important piece we wanted to have something that we wouldn't question. This is one of those steps that we wouldn't have taken if we were outfitting this boat for coastal cruising, but for ocean voyaging we decided it was worth it to us.
So in order to install this, I have done a dry test first. The hole that it goes through needed to be a little bit bigger, so I used the Dremel with this little tip here. Super handy tool, so nice to work with this kind of pen. Now the Bobstay does fit through, and once it was sticking out in the position that it should be, I went outside and I marked a line, and that is to know what part is visible and what part is inside. So now my plan is to put tape over the pretty polished side, which will be visible, and then this instead I will roughen it up a little bit, because this will be exactly where the hull is, and so epoxy does bond a little better to it.
That cleaned up pretty good.
Looks amazing, doesn't it?
It really does.
You don't need a mirror.
So, it is now 1 day later. You have shined the Bobstay, and you have also prepared the interior for fiberglass.
Yeah, because I've just glued the Bobstay in with a lot of epoxy, and what I did yesterday, my 11 o'clock mission, was sanding it. Preparation for now. Now we're ready to lay glass.
Okay, and the glass, very conveniently, is over here on the table, all cut and ready to go. With our beautiful new Bobstay fitting firmly installed, it's time for this week's episode to draw to a close. We will be back next week with a big update on the deck beams, so stay tuned for that. It'll be out on Friday like always. And until then, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this episode, please press the thumbs up button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. An extra big thanks to our patrons who make these episodes possible every single week. If you'd like to sign up to become a patron for as little as $2 a month, I've always got a link in our video description, and patrons get a lot of behind-the-scenes bonuses, such as a real-time update every Tuesday. And an extra big thanks to these folks whose names are now appearing on screen for always going the extra mile to make sure that Magic Carpet keeps being produced. We will see you all next week.